Welcome back. It's great to see you. Today we are going to complete this third piece, or at least get as far as we possibly can. I have all of the pieces, all of the elements. Right now they're just in a massive pile. And today is the day to build out the scene. And I am really thrilled that it's finally here. I was looking at my calendar and I realized that each one of these pieces is taking, on average, a solid 10 weeks from start to finish, from sketch to build. And while I wish that process was a little bit longer because I have so much that I want to create, I think it's just part of working with this medium that requires intentional slowness, and with that in mind, I'm okay with it. So without further ado, I'm gonna start pulling the pieces out and let's see how far we can get today in finally finishing this third piece of this new collection. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Alexis. I'm a full-time artist here in Brooklyn, New York. And on this channel, I share my art, its inspiration, my love of the city, and all of the ins and outs of what I believe it means to be a human during a time such as this. And so if that is something that you're into, I invite you to stick around. You know, I'm gonna add one of those pennies that I've been finding on the streets that my grandmother's been sending me. A little bit of good luck. A little token of good fortune from the streets of New York into the place where this will eventually reside. I've been thinking a lot about how shame is a tool used often to keep us from reaching our fullest potential, if you will, really tapping into what it is that makes each of us unique. I think that when you have views or beliefs or perhaps a gift, I hate that word, but maybe like a talent or a creative endeavor, if you will, that is different than what is expected, it can often be met with resistance because it perhaps challenges those around us to grapple with their own limitations. And I know that that's something that I've really spent a lot of time kind of digging down deep to fully understand with myself. I remember when I first started creating with paper, I was at my grandparents' house and my grandmother's best friend was in town, and my grandmother was showing her some of the things that I had been creating, and her friend was just not understanding it. And she turned to me and she looked at me and she asked me, "Who told you you could do this?" And it was funny because I think I was so shocked in that moment because I was still so nervous to share what it was that I was doing with others, and I was still seeking that outside approval. My grandmother, God, I loved her so much. She turned to her friend and she looked at me and she winked and she said, "Who told her she couldn't?" And in that moment, my grandmother gave me the permission to do this. You know what I'm saying? Not that I needed the permission, but it just gave me that much more courage because her opinion really did mean a lot to me. So there's a marching band of some sort outside. I have made progress on this, and the bulk of it is done. Now I just need to like finish trimming the edges and clean up the trees where you can see the glue. So I'm gonna go in and add a bunch more leaves. The trees are never ending in these pieces. But then I also need to add all of the elements on the street. And I have what I think is what I want on the street. I might end up adding another person or two, depending, but this is where we're at so far. So I have like 2 people and some dogs to add down here, and more leaves. But whew, the building process is a lot faster now that I've done it essentially 3 times, even though this is my 3rd one because I redid the first one twice. But man, she's almost there. It's almost there. It's almost done. So I'm gonna take a minute because it's a pretty warm day and I have the windows open. But I'm gonna go grab a coffee, and then I think I'm gonna sit at my desk because I need to build the pieces that I'll use to add the people to the street. I can't believe that this is almost done, but it's almost done. So I will check back in with you in just a second. Actually, we're back the next day. I went and grabbed a coffee, and by the time I came back, I really just needed to get focused. But I did make one more person last night. She's a little person for the street. I love her hair. Today we're gonna add one other person. So I wanted 2 more people on either end to kind of balance out the street, to bring in a little bit more color, a little bit more of a vibe. And that's it. So we're gonna make him, we're gonna add these leaves, then this piece is gonna be done. I finished an audiobook. It was, listen, I know I say I'm trying to get away from true crime. It's fine. I read or I listened to, I think it's called Murderland. I've been really struggling with audiobooks lately. I think the narration always just tends to take me a minute to get into. And this was a book recommended by a podcast that I listened to, and I thought I'd give it a go. It was actually really interesting. I mean, it followed some like serial killers, so like whatever. What was unexpected that I really appreciated was the conversation about perhaps why we have so many, and why within certain time frames there have been so many, especially like in the Pacific Northwest, and in these like industrialized cities with like the heavy metals. And so like how arsenic and cadmium and lead, those heavy metal poisonings, cause aggression, specifically in men. Very interesting. 10 out of 10 would recommend it for that, because I think that there have been a lot of questions about why does this happen, and why does it seemingly happen in pocketed areas. So that was a really interesting spin on what could potentially just be like a voyeuristic listen. So I was super into the science and the medicine behind it, I guess, the medicine, but more so like the science and the history of the Industrial Revolution. So I think today is podcasts and leaves and this one more person, and then 10 weeks of work will be done. And I've been thinking a lot about the artist way, and I've been having a lot of conversations with people about where I've been and where I am and what it is that I'm doing now. And I have totally become one of those people who will recommend the artist way to almost anyone that I speak to about this, which is a far, far cry from where I began. If you watched that playlist at all, you know that first video, that first week, I was like, whatever, Julia Cameron. But I do believe that working through that really helped me get very honest with myself about what it is that I wanted to create. Paper for the People started in 2019, and it was named after, or very much in line with, power to the people. That phrase is something that has always been very significant in my life. It has always been such a huge part of who I am. I believe in the people. I believe in the power of the people. I believe in the beauty of our collective existence and the beauty of humanity. I don't know why certain people are certain ways. I don't know why this aspect has always been such a deeply ingrained aspect of my being, but I think doing the artist's way really gave me the courage to create these scenes. I knew I wanted to do something that was more true to who I was, and something that came fully of myself, and not just recreating these significant scenes from political movements or protests or portraits of these significant people in our world who have left tremendous legacies, right? I wanted there to be a different part where I could tap into my own imagination, and perhaps what Rick Rubin refers to as, like, tapping into that river. Because I had ideas, but I didn't have the courage to pursue them, because there was still so much shame in what I was doing, because it's different than anybody that I know. I don't know anybody doing paper art in this way. I don't know anybody else creating things quite like this. And I think that when you don't have someone doing what it is that you want to do, it can be a little scary to step out and to take the chance, right? I don't know how it's going to be perceived. I don't actually know exactly what I'm doing, but I know what it is that I want to do. I think I say all of this just to encourage you to release any shame that might be holding you back from pursuing whatever tug that you have in your innermost being, to try something new, to learn something new, to pursue a new direction, because I think that it's the fear and the shame that keeps us from becoming who it is that we're meant to be and playing small, and none of us benefit when we're playing small. The times that we are living through right now call for bravery, and they call for the bigness of this existence. And so I'm really thankful that I had that spark of, maybe it was like my intuition being like, yo, this is the time right now. Do the artist's way, dig deep and be courageous. Because I've really, really enjoyed this process, and I've been really loving these pieces as they come together, and the ability that it's given me to share this like most deep, intimate part of myself with you all, and with whomever might perceive the art that I am creating. And I hope that it encourages the viewer to ask questions and to seek out their neighbors, and to begin to celebrate the world in which we live, and to meet people that maybe they haven't met before. Let this be a time where we are courageous. Let this be a time where we shirk off that shame, and we have the boldness, the audacity to step into who it is that we want to be, perhaps that we're called to be, whatever it is that you know deep down who it is that you're supposed to be. Meet that person in this moment. Let that person shine in this moment. Because as we combat all of the really terrible things that are happening, we need the courageousness of people who are willing to dream of something better, willing to put in the work to create something better, whatever that role might be for you, and do it shamelessly. And know whatever it is that you are doing, there is a specific purpose for that. And you just have to be willing to meet yourself in that moment. So anyways, thanks for humoring me for just a moment as we work through finalizing this piece. and I can't wait to share it with you. I think it just turned out so fun, and I can't believe that this little community is coming together so wonderfully. Slow and steady. I tried a new technique with the seams, and in some regards I like it a lot better. I just think that there's no... I might try one other way next time, but I don't know if there's really, unless I just make it all one large piece and then, you know, puzzle it. I don't know if there's any other way to do the seams where it's not just a lot of really tedious work after the fact to like make sure that they're tight and cohesive and clean. So that's kind of where we're at. I think today, for the next bit of time, is just going to be lots of like surgical work with the leaves. Alright, making lots of progress. I think the trees are in a good spot, and I've gone through and I've added just some more hair details. I think that there were some people that I could kind of beef up the layers on, so I did that. And now I think the last thing is to figure out the leashes for the dog walker. And once I get the leashes for all these little dogs figured out, it's done. So let's get this done, and then it's done. I gotta figure out how to measure the distance for the leashes. Maybe I need some string. And this is it, framed. 10 weeks of work, and I think it's always really helpful to see it in the frame so that you can get like the vibe of what it would be framed. But this is number 3. She's finished, and I am really pleased with how it's turned out. I mean, I don't know. I wanted to get 4 done this year, and now that I've done the math, it's about right. I'm really happy with how these are shaping up. So number 3 is done. Learned a lot, as always, and I'm really thrilled. But thanks for spending your time with me, and if you've made it this far, I just want to let you know that I'm really grateful that you choose to spend your time with me. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps YouTube know that there's something happening here. And if you have not yet subscribed but would like to follow along as I share my art and its process and my love for the city, I would be truly honored if you subscribed. But last but not least, whatever time of day you watch this, I hope it's been a kind one. And until next time.